Bobby Fi here. We're going to be talking through today's MLB slate. I'm going to share my screen in just a moment, and we'll get into it. We're going to talk about the MLB. We'll touch on NBA. I'm not playing heavy in NBA tonight for what it's worth, just to be completely transparent. Playing a little bit heavier with MLB, but again, not playing. I always, like I said earlier, always slow down at the beginning of the year for MLB and sort of slow down at the end of the NBA season, with the exception of like 1 or 2 days where I'm just totally dialed in on it because it's really, really tough. And there's just so much speculative stuff, very, very high variance. Sometimes I like to embrace it, but not when I don't have all the time in the world. So happy to have all you guys joining us. Want to remind everybody there's a code right now for MLB24 for 24% off the first month with TrueDFS. For what it's worth, we have the whole SaberSim package. You got all Sheets' information, all of Sheets' projections, although he's gone for these 4 days. You get Goldie's projections, as well as all of my content, Rody's content, Brandon Cruz's content for NASCAR, and occasionally basketball like yesterday. You've also got Chan for League of Legends. And we're charging just a little, like I think it's a few dollars more than SaberSim, but we hope you guys would come and join us and check out what we got to offer. And yeah, with that said, we'll get into the slate. So starting at with pitching, I did a sort of like a rundown of game by game. But I'm just looking at my exposures now versus who I'm higher and lower on. And I did post my exact exposures for everybody out there who's in the Discord and in the premium. But the pitchers I have the most of right now are Bassett, Pivetta. I want to play Logan Allen. He'd be my number one, but I'm just a little worried about that game playing. He would be my number one pitcher. And I am going to be below the field on I'm going to be above the field on Javier, and then basically below the field on everybody else. I'll have a little bit of Merrill Kelly. I'll have a little bit of the Logan Allen, but I'll actually have more than the field of Logan Allen, but not if I hear anything about that weather in that game. I just feel like I don't want to have a game that really has that big of a concern. And it's gotten better throughout the day, but it just worries me enough to where it slowed my love for Logan Allen down. I also would have been considering Ross Stripling even, just because I think that, as I said, I'm not expecting huge outputs from all these pitchers. I think if you're playing cash, I think you play Pivetta and Merrill Kelly. I also think, though, that what I don't have and I need to get after this is I think that there's a really good argument for taking some Colorado bats against Kelly because you're going to get some leverage and low ownership. And I think Seattle is really interesting against Pivetta. So I'm going to have to try and make some Seattle stacks before I get out of here, because I really think that that's kind of an interesting, total contrarian way you could play this slate, and it makes plenty of sense. That it just, we know Pivetta has the good and the bad in him. This is a tough lineup, and it's a solid enough lineup, and I think that it's a pretty good spot to attack here. So I'm going to say get after it and get into some of these the Seattle situation. But the main stacks for me are going to be the Dodgers and Arizona. No shocker there, I guess. But the Dodgers are getting pretty low ownership considering the size. Like, it's a smaller slate. It might even play a little bit smaller. And I think the Dodgers are I'm just going to stack them every day. I don't really know why not to. You do have the platoon risk with some of the guys, and we don't have a starting lineup. But I really just don't see why. They're clearly the best offense in baseball. Now, some of the problem is because they will do some of the switching around, with guys like Kike may not get all of his at-bats. Guys like Chris Taylor likely not to get all of his at-bats. Potentially Teoscar in a very certain situation. You might see a lefty. We're not even sure Lux is going to start. He probably does. He actually hits lefties fine. Anyway, I like the Dodgers. I like Arizona. And I hear all day, the Dodgers and Arizona stand out as being by far the best. I'm like, well, because they're expensive, people aren't getting to them. So that's what I'm doing. Is spending not down, but not spending in the high nines. I'm using Pivetta at 81, Bassett at 86, and Javier at 83 rather than the Kellys, Bobby Millers, etc. So that's just the route that I'm taking. I also still have love for a San Diego stack, and I do have them stacked in a number of lineups as well. Other than that, I think that I didn't get to it, but I think that I actually don't like the Yankees very much. I know that some people are showing them. I like a little bit of Javier, to be honest with you. He's actually been pretty dominant against the Yankees in his 5 or 6 starts. It's got to be more. It's got to be around 5 starts. I can't remember it. Maybe it's only 4. Either way, he's been really good against the Yankees. And he's got a good enough strikeout stuff against a team that strikes out just enough to where I'm going to have some interest. I think Houston is the more interesting side of that one. If you're going to try and take a chance, that Rodon is basically does what he did to start the season last year. But I'm going to guess that Rodon's going to come back being okay. He's actually an interesting play that I didn't get to because I don't like doing against this Houston team. But I actually think that it's probably worth taking another chance. I'm just looking for the cheaper pitchers that are going to be lower owned. I don't see why I can't include a little bit of Rodon in my mix. Although I do prefer the other, the Javier. I also like the Toronto stack a little bit. I forgot. I'm using a little bit of Savali. I forgot to mention that. I have him like 10% yet. That's about with the field. But I'm also more than that. I have Toronto as fillers and as another stack. I love Toronto tonight, and I am going to be extremely high on them. The problem is, do we have enough? I guess it's like the names that aren't people don't like or something. But like, there's like no ownership here, and I like Savali, but I don't see this as being the most obvious. Like, oh, you need to do this stacking slate, and yet I look around and the ownership is not going to be as spread out as is projected. But you have no batter on SaberSim projected above 15%. Now, again, it's not going to be that way. It's going to be closer to 20. You're going to see more. I mean, the Miami thing that everybody's in love with, I didn't get there, but no issue with it. I would play the stacks I just mentioned just because there's so much more pops. But Miami more earlier until they actually became the most popular stack on fillers, sure, but I just would rather play the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, some of the Blue Jays, and San Diego. That's sort of the order of which I'm playing the stacks today. So questions or thoughts, dig in, because that's sort of what I'm doing. Love Dalton Varsho, by the way, as a one-off. He's done some work on his swing, and I've always loved the talent of this guy, and we've seen like bursts of him. He just goes through these huge ups and downs, but I like him at 3,600 just as a one-off play. I also like Mitch Haniger. They're both batting later in the lineup, but I think those are both like really good one-offs if you're or parts of mini stacks, whatnot. Dodger starters are in. All right, let me refresh my here, and we'll get a shout out to Roto Grinders. We'll look at their MLB page. They have a good. This is the weather page. I don't need that. This is the free stuff, by the way. So I'm not trying to take anything from them. I'm saying giving them all their credit. I just like to use their lineup page. So I am going to use their lineup page and show you guys what they've got here. And I would encourage everybody, as it's baseball season, when there is weather, to listen to Roth, because we don't have a weather projection person, and Roth is doing it for free well, he's not doing it for free, but you know what I'm saying. How do I keep the comments? But it's a really, I like their lineup page, and I like Roth, the job that Roth does a lot with the weather. So I tend to default to this as a lineup page. I'll use MLB.com, but they're really good about updating it here, whereas they're not as good in the NBA ones. But anyway, I'm just taking a quick look if there's anything else in there. All right, let's go. Project Mayhem playing the Pirates for all the money. I kind of like that. So I actually didn't mention it, but what I do have is like mini stacks of the Pirates. I've got some Connor Joe and some Brian Reynolds together as in 5-2s as the two-man stacks. I've got a little bit. I think there's an argument. You know what? I like it. I think it's a good way to go. Project Mayhem. I may not get there myself, but I absolutely support it. And that's one of the cool things about this slate in general is you really can do whatever you want. Like, I mean, in terms of not worrying as much about ownership, which is really weird for like an 8-gamer. And again, I'm not. It's not that I'm worried about ownership. I just feel like Miami being the highest owned makes me just go, okay, well, that's something I can easily just get away from and be a little bit different. So I'm going to stick with my Dodgers and Arizona, but as well as Toronto and a little San Diego. But also I mentioned the Seattle one. So those are the teams I'm sort of looking at. But again, it's heavily prioritized in the Dodgers, Arizona for me personally. Thank you, K9. Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Muncy, Hernandez, Taylor, Rojas. Rojas getting in there is really annoying. So I'm going to have to shift. No, they got Taylor and Kike in there. Who missed the lineup? Ohtani, Freeman, Ohtani, Smith, Muncy, Hernandez, Teoscar, then Kike, then Chris Taylor, then Ross. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I think that there's an argument you can make for Thompson. You know what? Look, you could to me that's like it's just getting too weird. But he is so cheap that maybe it's okay. Like again, he only gets through 3 innings. He gets you 15 fantasy points. So you're gonna that's possible. That's in the realm of range of outcomes for sure. So I'm not against that idea. entirely. I just think that there's other guys who I'm a little bit. He does have the strikeout upside. So and look, the Dodgers historically have not been as good against lefties. So fair enough. Go ahead, throw out anything out there. I mean, I mentioned I would have played Ross Stripling if we had just a little bit more. Well, if we just had a little more certainty on the weather there, I guess. So drop in any questions or thoughts. If not, I'm going to jump into my NBA thoughts, and you guys let me know where you're at with that one. Let me jump over. All right, so let's update it. First of all, I put my core on here. So SaberSim, I just want to point out to everybody, my core is still appearing. It's just that now at the very back of the page. This was my core at the beginning of the day, and I think would be very similar to what I have now. Yeah, I like that as a core for sure. But anyway, just so you know, it's at the back, and you can move it over. You can just toggle down, keep it where you want it, or you can do the same with Goldie's projections. Bloop, bloop, bloop. You know what I mean? And you can put it wherever you want. We're trying to get them to default it back on the other part of the screen, but it's taking a little bit of a minute. So while you guys are in there, please click the like, please click the like button and subscribe and all that stuff if you're not already, et cetera, et cetera. What lineup populates the top line for the contest sim? Run it on your own sim. That's all I can say. I'm into showing like, hey, this is what they're doing, this is what's happening. But I'm not just gonna like give away free products, because it is a product that they have to use. So I can't just run every sim every time. But I'm sort of confused by the phrasing the question as well. I just think that try to run that one. I'm trying to cover 2 shows, so I don't know even which sport you're talking about at the moment, Noah. Sorry about that, man. Did I like Bassett? No problem, Project Mayhem. I am on Bassett. As of right now, I have Bassett in the big one. I think there's a range of outcomes there as well, but he's a little bit cheaper, and I think he has the same upside, if not more, than the other pitchers. So I did end up getting to some Bassett. You never know with Tampa Bay. They're definitely a team I don't mind taking righties against in general, but every now and then you get that blow up game that makes you feel like an idiot. All right, going back to basketball. We'll do a quick build because this is, you can see that those are my priorities. You can see sort of how the value is. I think you could make a good case that you would include. I always have trouble with Obama in the core. I definitely just get a little worried about how Detroit rotates their players. I also think you could make that same argument for Ryan Rupert, just really unproductive, but definitely getting the minutes. So that's sort of the other guys I would add to the things. As far as get creative plays today, I don't even think it's creative, but I like both Anthony Davis and LeBron today. I think super sneaky is D'Angelo Russell in what could be a great matchup for him. Love Halliburton. And I like Siakam a little bit too. So I think that you can do some business in this Lakers Indiana. I don't think it's anything revolutionary, but that's where I'd fill in my other pieces from the core, other than the core. And then on the Phoenix side of it, I thought about just as a run back, I kind of like Booker because I would have 3 OKCs in a lot of my lineups. And I think they would be these 3. But I think there's an argument you can make as let's just pretend the opposite of what happened the other night happened. And we need Case and Wallace to go out there and guard between all the studs on the other side. I could see Case and Wallace being the one who gets the run down the stretch, not Isaiah Joe this time. I have a feeling it might flip. So it worries me a little bit, but I still like Joe enough. Anyway. All right, what else do we have for basketball? We're gonna run it. We're gonna run a build. First person to say what tournament are we running a sim for, and then we'll run it. Let's see if anybody's got that one. And you know what? Probably nobody in there is playing basketball tonight, so I'm just gonna run one out of a random one just so I can do my job. Let's do it for. Everybody likes the 20 max usually. Let's say the 20 max, or I don't even know what is the thing. Let's do the micro max. Let's just whatever. Let's save the settings. Okay. We're going to build 20. We're going to make it out of 2,000. I know there's a lot of other ways we can do this. I just want to see what we get for a basic build. Run contest sim, and then we're going to have to do the other. I'm going to take him down to 22 and him down to Ryan Rupert at only 19. Let's make it 20. Okay, let's rebuild them. All right. Any other questions for baseball or basketball? Please click on in there. I did want to, show a little bit of what we got out there, but don't have a whole lot more to add unless we have questions, and then we'll see what this build gets us for NBA. Again, not playing huge myself, but I like that Lakers stuff. the Lakers, Indiana, and using the other value with that. I like the idea of getting to one of Booker. I think Booker and I actually think that maybe Durant back in OKC would be the way I would go. Maybe you do play Durant a little bit in the run back, and you get a nice little stack of that game just naturally. The low ownership on the other side. I kind of like that idea actually. It worked with Harden the other night back in Philly. Why not? Just kidding around. But all right, so contest sim. There we go, and then we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, guys, please let me know if there's any questions or thoughts, anything on the baseball slate that you feel you want to cover more, or you have any questions or thoughts about. But it's pretty interesting to me that it's such a spread out slate for such a small slate. I have a feeling it's going to concentrate more, and I think it's going to be Miami. I really do think it's going to stay like that. So 20 lineups. Let's see what kind of exposures we got here. So like what I would probably be fine with this ownership of Jalen Williams. I actually totally fine with this Marvin Bagley ownership. I love the Halliburton play so much that I actually am okay with that one, although I'd go a little lower. I love Jabari Walker, but I think that's a little too high. I would definitely want to cut my exposure down to less than 40 or so, maybe 35 or 40. Jordan Poole, I think it's too high for his variance, so I would probably keep it around the 20% that he's at. Maybe a little bit higher because the matchup's so good. I love Steph. Oh, that's the other one I love today. And I am loving that 14% ownership. So I love that idea of getting way over on Steph. I'm not as high on the Clay idea. I'm fine with the Wiggins, but again, Wiggins and Clay, I just find fine. I don't have any, I need to play them. They're getting 35% of the Rupert, of Wallman, 15% AD, so a little bit below the field. Only 15% Giddey. Ooh, it's an interesting one. I like Giddey. I would be well over that myself. I will be well over that, even though I'm playing a couple lineups. And LeBron, I like that. So that's the only thing I'd be doing different. I'd get a little more of the Lakers and them, and I'd keep this Devin Booker 15%, but I'd also get 25% of Durant and just do the natural game run back and get more of Giddey. That's where I'm at. Yankees are cheap against Javier. I know that. Look, the Yankees and Astros both have strong lineups. I like Javier. I'm going the other way on this one. And it's not that I love Javier so much. I just don't think the pitching is so strong tonight. I think it's fine to play the Yankees. Look, and they're actually the Yankees have. But if you're going to make the argument for the Yankees, let's just point out the obvious. Why are the Yankees higher owned than the Dodgers, for example? That part I don't get. I think that's just not right in the long run. Now, could it happen tonight? Sure, absolutely. But in the long run, I'm going to bet on the Dodgers side. And I mentioned them because they're both fairly expensive teams. You've got the Yankees are really expensive in the spots that you really want. The Soto, the Judge, and the Stanton is probably too cheap. But people are still worried about where is Stanton now. I get it if you want to play the Yankees. I personally didn't get there, but I have no issue. Like I said, I'm not going to say no to any lineups on this slate. Every single team I feel like is stackable. And that's why you see the ownership so spread out. You know what I mean? Oh, looks like they did an ownership update here because did I do something? Okay, now this looks more accurate to me. Okay. I did think Arizona was getting a little bit overlooked, and I didn't understand why the ownership. Now we've got whatever changed, the ownership projections seem to have caught up because Arizona should be the highest owned hitting team. I said I thought it would end up Miami, but I think it's going to be Arizona then Miami. Yeah, you can see that's where it's going to go. It looks like Pittsburgh's getting a little more love as well. But look, you don't see any Dodgers on here. Why don't you see any Dodgers on here? Am I missing something? Somebody tell me what's going on. Oh my God, Ohtani down there at 6% now. I'm in on the Dodgers. I just think that it makes the most sense. And you're talking about, I don't know. I'm in. That's what I'm doing. I get it. I get all the people who are going to, and I like Arizona a little less now. I should probably add that. But I'm Arizona. I'll probably use more as three men, 2 men, 4 man, and a 4-4. But probably going to just limit a little bit of my Arizona. So that's where I'm at, guys. I appreciate you guys for hanging out. We don't have a whole lot more to go through. It's not like the NBA where we have everything. We're talking NBA too, but it's not like we have to go over the top with baseball. We know what's happening. Teams are awesome today. Everybody but St. Louis being a little brat, given their lineups. I don't think it really matters all that much for St. Louis because I am not playing them. I have no issue if anybody, again, they're another one. You could pick any stack and oh my God, is Zalatoris going to make the cut after all this? How is that going to happen? He's got to make this one. Well, he doesn't got to make this one. Let's see. He probably needs to make this one. Oh, he did. Oh my goodness. Zalatoris back in the mix. How about that? Where did Doug Gim go? Let's see. That's what I'm hanging on for my 6 of 6 with needing Gim. Oh, Gim just bogeyed 2 in a row. Ugh. Why did I even? And he bogeyed the easiest hole on the course. Ugh. The par 5. Ugh. Doug Gim. God damn. All right, guys. Good luck to everybody today. I hope you all crush it. Let's get this baseball season going. Let's have some fun in the Discord. Let's make some money tonight. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. We're still working out weekend coverage stuff and whatnot. Rhodey's going to get his stuff out. I'll try. I will when I play. I'm not going to be playing this weekend, but anytime I'm out there, you got my stuff as well. Obviously, you got Sheets, Goldie, SaberSim. Let's crush it. Let's have a great season, guys. Good luck, guys. Let's go, Project Mayhem. I want it to be me and you. Let's go, or me and you and whoever else is a TrueDFS member. But we can go 1, 2, and 3 can go 3. How about that?